Welcome back. In this video, I do a review of a diesel heater. I have got an oil burner, as you may know, and it works really well, but this is a much more simpler thing. I think this can be used by everyone, and I intend to use this in a small workshop I'm just setting up now. So this is the kit. Comes with a 10-litre tank. It runs on diesel. It doesn't have too bad a manual. It is from China. It comes with all the things you need. So from fuel lines to air intake and vents. There's a small muffler, exhaust and fuel tubing, and as I say, pretty much everything you need to get it to run. Now this is the unit itself. This is a 5 kilowatt version, and there's the controller, and it has a remote control as well. Now I'm going to set this up in a space that's around 35 square meters, or 8 meters by about 4, so it's reasonably large. It'll be interesting to see how well this works. And there's a small diesel pump it comes with. Now the good people at Max Speeding Rods sent me this, so in this video I'll just show you the breakdown of this. I'll do a first startup, and in the next video I will do the final install and then do a more detailed review. So this is everything you get in the kit, and first thing you need to do is set up the fuel system. So this tube here is not actually used unless you're using a metal tank, and what you use for this plastic tank is just this barb, and you put it in the bottom of the tank, and you don't want it to be right on the bottom, so I've chosen in that corner there, which will set it up about 1/2 inch from the base. Now you pick a drill that's the right size, and it happens to be 8mm or 5/16. Drill a hole, deburr it, and then to get that in is quite easy. All I did was got a bit of filler wire, stuck it through the hole, as you'll see in a second, and you first put the O-ring on. Now that's an internal O-ring, and then once it's through, you put an O-ring on the other side. Here's this filler wire, stick it through the hole, through the filler neck, and then slide that barb down the filler wire. It will locate perfectly because it's got no choice but to go through that hole. Pull it out the other end, put the other O-ring on, tighten the nut up, and that's pretty much done. Now it's probably, I don't know if this is ideal because there's a potential for it to leak, but the sealing mechanism on this looks okay, and time will tell. So I can update on that once I've used this for a while and actually get it running. So that's the barb. Just tighten it up a little bit, and the fuel tank's basically done. Once I got this far, then what I did was start looking at the exhaust system. So it comes with a stainless steel muffler. It's quite thin material, it's just straight through, and the exhaust pipe is 1 inch, and you can sort of bend that. Again, it is quite thin, slides over the muffler. And the other thing to remember is this little hole on the muffler needs to point down, and that's for condensate removal, and you want that to be on a bit of an angle sloping down so condensate doesn't get trapped there. You can see the fuel direction on the fuel pump. Put this rubber mount on there just to stop a bit of vibration, and it needs to be on an angle because it's self-lubricating. So they say in the manual about 30 degrees. So that's the fuel line just pushing on to the heater unit itself, and there's the inlet and outlet of those other 2 pipes. That fuel line is included in the kit, as is this little fuel filter. And what I do is just put it all together. So you go from the fuel tank first to the fuel filter, after the fuel filter to the pump, and then from the pump to the heater unit itself. So it's all pretty basic. And for this test run, I'm only just doing a mock-up here to get it to run, is I mount this just to the part of the bench, and I just have it on that angle so it's pointing upwards. Then the exhaust just sits on there. There is a clamp for this, but for a test run, it push fit's fine. I put some diesel in the tank, probably only got 1 or 2 litres in there, and then I start priming the line. So I do that by removing the fuel line again and just using gravity to get it right brim fill, and then I push it on. So that line's already been flushed of air and is ready to go. Now here's a wiring loom. The wiring loom on this is actually pretty good. So you got the controller, there's a plug, just plugs straight in. There's another plug that plugs straight onto the fuel pump, which is this one, and there's a third plug which plugs right into the unit itself. And then once those 3 plugs are in, there is a fuse, and the only thing you've got left is a positive and negative for 12-volt supply. So as a temporary run, I just put it onto just an old car battery, 12 volt. The unit powers up. Now once you power it up, you press the OK button and then the down button, and after that press the up button, and what that does is it manually starts up the fuel pump, and you need to do that to let it prime through. So again, I've primed before the fuel pump, and it takes a few seconds. You start getting diesel come through. I took the fuel line off of the heater, and right when it was about to overfill, just disconnected the power source and then plugged this on. So now I've got the entire fuel system primed and ready to go. So I set it on a couple of bricks, put the exhaust system on temporary there, and at this point I'm ready to give it a shot. And you can see that that fuel line is quite close to the heater, so you need to make sure that doesn't touch. So you can see the fuel filter, fuel pump, and then it makes its way to the unit, and there's just that power source. It's all very simple. Once power's on there, it powers up, press on, and it goes through a startup phase. So the fan will start, the glow plug will start heating up, and then it takes 2 or 3 minutes before it actually starts to fire, and you can see that little symbol comes on, fuel pump starts to pump, and then it progressively warms up. Now the display shows down the bottom there the blue and red arrows, the inlet and the exhaust running, and there's another bar. It starts off blue, orange, and then red as it heats up, and that's the fan slowly increasing speed and more heat coming out. So I'll give it a quick run, and I must say I'm quite impressed on how much heat and airflow is coming out of this thing. So in the next video I'll go through some more detail, but if you are interested in one of these, the good people at Max Speeding Rods actually have provided me with a coupon that you can use. So it's a discount code. I'll put the link in the description box, but if you use Mesmo as the code, they'll provide you with a 15% discount, which I think is amazing value. So anyway, I'll turn it off here, let it cool down, and as I said, hopefully in the next week or two I'll have this set up and I'll provide a bit more detail on what I find. Stay tuned.